Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 1 hour. India-Angola pledged to deepen bilateral ties, agree on cooperation in marine resources, President Murmu to address Parliament and also interact with the Indian community. US senators in a rare Sunday session reach a deal to end the longest ever government shutdown.
And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending.
Massive flight cancellations and delay reported across the US as air traffic control staffing shortages surge due to the shutdown. Transportation Secretary warns things only going to get worse until the government reopened. Amazon city of Belém hosts leaders as all important COP30 to begin today. Brazil's choice of venue underlines importance of world forests as rising global temperatures pose stiff challenge. Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav to represent India. BBC Director General Tim Davie and CEO Deborah Turnes resign following a row over misleading edit of Trump's January 6th speech. Trump welcomes the departure, calls the action a terrible thing for democracy. In sports, shooter Anish Bhanwala creates history, becomes the first Indian to ever win a medal in the men's 25 meters rapid fire event at World Championships with a silver in the final in Cairo. The US Senate has moved to end the federal government shutdown that has been continuing for the last 40 days, and a bipartisan Senate deal has been reached to fund the government. The Senate has begun voting on the compromise funding plan to end the shutdown. Senators expect to vote on advancing a House-passed bill that will be amended to combine the short-term funding measure, which would fund the government through January 2026 with a package of 3 full-year appropriations bills. At least 8 Democrats, enough for the measure to clear the Republican-controlled Senate, are expected to support the measure. If the package clears the Senate, it would still have to go to the House for passage before heading to President Trump's desk for his signature. Under a deal struck with a group of Democrats, Republicans would agree to a vote in December on extending subsidies under the Affordable Care Act. President Trump said that the government shutdown may be nearing a resolution. He insisted that he would not approve the substantial money for what he described as prisoners or illegals.
Well, it looks like we're getting very close on the shutdown. We'll never agree to give any substantial money or any money to really prisoners, illegals that come into our country. And I think the Democrats understand that. And it looks like we're getting close to the shutdown ending. You'll know very soon. Thank you very much.
While the Senate works on a potential deal, the effects of the shutdown are still being felt across the country. Flight operations are expected to slow down sharply before Thanksgiving because the federal shutdown continues and there is a shortage of air traffic controllers. Transportation Secretary John Duffy has warned that flights may drop to a trickle as Thanksgiving gets closer. This is the third day that major airlines are facing government-ordered cuts after thousands of delays and cancellations. The shutdown has now crossed 40 days and controllers have not been paid for weeks. The FAA has instructed airlines to cut 4% of daily flights at 40 major US airports, which will rise to 6% on Tuesday and then reach 10% by November 14. The Director General of the British Broadcasting Corporation, BBC, and its head of news have resigned on Sunday following criticism for editing a speech by US President Donald Trump. The Director General of Britain's BBC, Tim Davie, and the Chief Executive of News, Deborah Turnes, have resigned following criticism over bias at the corporation, including in the way it edited a speech by Donald Trump on January 6, 2021. Devi will stay on for the next few months while a replacement is found. The White House had recently denounced the broadcaster as a propaganda machine after its flagship Panorama program was found to have edited two parts of Trump's speech together, so he appeared to encourage the Capitol Hill riots. The BBC had been under mounting pressure after an internal report by the former standards advisor was leaked to the Daily Telegraph newspaper, which cited failings in its coverage of the Israel-Hamas conflict, trans issues and a speech made by Trump. Trump welcomed the departures, posting a link to a Daily Telegraph story about the speech editing on his Truth Social network, thanking the newspaper for exposing these corrupt journalists. Trump criticized the two as very dishonest people. Tim Devi, who has led the British Broadcasting Corporation since 2020, defended the organisation, saying its journalism was seen as the gold standard around the world. But he said that mistakes had been made and he had to take ultimate responsibility. Deborah Turnus said in an email to her staff, and I quote, "I want to be absolutely clear that recent allegations that BBC News is institutionally biased are wrong." Let's get you updates from West Asia now. The body of deceased Israeli hostage, said to be of Israeli army officer Hadar Golden, arrived at Israel's Forensic Institute on Sunday. Golden, an officer in the Israeli military, was killed by Hamas in an ambush in Rafah in the 2014 Israel-Hamas conflict. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a statement saying that he knew Israel will bring Hadar Golden and Oron Shaul after their bodies were taken hostage into Gaza in the 2014 Israel-Gaza conflict. Under October's ceasefire deal, Hamas turned over all 20 living hostages held in Gaza since the group's attack on Israel in return for the nearly 2,000 Palestinian convicts and wartime detainees held in Israel. The ceasefire agreement also included the return of the remains of 28 deceased hostages in exchange for the remains of 360 militants. So far, 23 hostage bodies have been returned in exchange for 300 bodies of the Palestinians. Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara is in United States for an official visit, during which Washington hopes to enlist Damascus in its coalition against ISIL or ISIS. Al-Shara, whose rebel forces ousted long-time ruler Bashar al-Assad late last year, is due to meet US President Donald Trump at the White House on Monday. Al-Shara's arrival comes in backdrop of Damascus launching a large-scale security operation across the country targeting ISIL cells. It is the first such visit by a Syrian president since the country's independence in 1946. Al-Shara, who had met Trump for the first time in Riyadh in May, was removed from a US terrorist sanctions list on Friday. US President Donald Trump has nominated John Cole as the United States Special Envoy to Belarus. Trump wrote in a post on Truth Social that Cole has successfully negotiated the release of 100 hostages and is going for an additional 50. Cole led the delegation which negotiated the release of 52 prisoners of various nationalities from Belarus on September 11th this year. It was the biggest batch of prisoners pardoned by Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, who is seeking to repair relations with the US after years of isolation and sanctions. Bolivia's newly inaugurated President Rodrigo Paz formally sworn in his cabinet on Sunday at the historic Palacio Comedo, marking the beginning of his administration. He pledged to prioritize meritocracy and institutional reform. The ceremony featured the appointment of a slate of ministers, including Fernando Hugo Aramayo as the foreign minister. Aramayo declared the event a renewal of the pact between the state and its people and emphasized a commitment to modernizing the institutions. Meanwhile, Paz also led a convoy of fuel tankers into El Alto on Sunday, marking the arrival of much-needed diesel and gasoline supplies to ease a months-long shortage. President Paz, with his ministers, led a convoy to restart fuel deliveries, declaring an end to state obstruction. and promising to resolve Bolivia's fuel shortages through new international agreements and improved logistics. His administration faces a challenging political and economic landscape amid the worst economic crisis in 4 decades. Mexican government on Sunday announced new measures to combat organized crime and boost security in Michoacán following the public assassination of a local mayor. President Claudia Sheinbaum announced a 57 billion peso investment for the plan and said that she would review the progress every 2 weeks and share public updates. Officials said over 10,500 security personnel are involved in Mexico's Michoacán Plan for Peace and Justice, which also includes strengthening state police, the Attorney General's office, and funding for welfare, agriculture, infrastructure, tourism and jobs. The shocking assassination of Manzo sparked outrage, pressurizing Sheinbaum's government to act on a worsening security crisis. The Paris Criminal Court of Appeals will hold a hearing on Monday to tackle a request by former French President Nicolas Sarkozy for an early release from jail pending his appeals trial. Last October, Sarkozy, 70 years of age, began his 5-year sentence for conspiring to raise campaign funds from Libya. He is incarcerated at the La Santé prison in Paris. If the court grants the early release request, Sarkozy could be freed and made to wear an electronic device or be submitted to a strict judiciary control or pay a fine. Sarkozy, who led France between 2007 and 2012, is the first former French leader to be jailed since Nazi collaborator Marshal Philippe Pétain after World War II. Sarkozy has always said that he was innocent and has appealed his conviction. 3 drones were detected over Belgium's Doel nuclear power plant on Sunday evening. There was no impact on the plant's operation and authorities have been informed. Operations were temporarily halted at Belgium's Liège airport on Sunday evening due to a drone sighting, the latest in a series of drone-related interruptions over the past days. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, 21st storm to hit Philippines this year, Super Typhoon Fung Wong leaves a trail of destruction after making a landfall. World Science Day for Peace and Development being observed today with focus on how science can guide humanity towards a sustainable and harmonious future. Ever wondered what the longest salami, a meat delicacy, would look like? Argentina sets the record.
I'm on a quest to explore the history of Goa. A land steeped in diverse and intersecting cultures and traditions.
I think this is one of my favorite pieces of art in the city.
Here, influences from multiple faiths coalesce in beautiful ways. From religious sites to charming villages and vibrant streets. Watch Postcards from Goa on National Geographic.
Welcome to DD India, where a billion voices unite, connecting viewers to the stories that matter. India is not just another news channel. It's the international channel that puts the spotlight on the global south, bringing you stories from the heart of emerging economies, dynamic cultures, and transformative voices. As the international news channel of India's public broadcaster Prasar Bharati, DD India delivers high-quality content from every corner of the globe, focusing on the stories that shape our future. We don't just report news. We connect you to India's voice in the global narrative. From current affairs to culture, From economic growth to sustainable development and the ever-evolving world order, DD India gives you a comprehensive view of the world around us. Stay connected, stay informed, and embrace the stories that shape our lives. DD India, India's voice to the world.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Newshour. The United Nations 30th Conference of Parties, that is COP30, begins in Belém, Brazil on 10th of November. It marks the decade since the Paris Climate Pact came into force. A lot has changed since the landmark treaty was adopted, and at the same time, the needle hasn't moved much on several long-standing climate issues. Indigenous leaders from Andes arrived in Belém to attend the COP30 climate summit. Their main goal was to demand a greater say in how their territories are managed as climate change escalates and industries including mining, oil drilling and logging press deeper into forests. A report last week by Earth Insight and the Global Alliance of Territorial Communities said that in the one-third of the Amazon rainforest occupied by indigenous or local communities, about 17% of those spaces now faced encroachment by oil and gas drilling, mining and logging concessions. In the run-up to COP30, more than 60 countries have submitted revised climate action plans. However, by all accounts, collective ambition will not be enough to keep global warming below the threshold set at Paris. The United Nations says millions of refugees are stuck in a vicious cycle of conflict and climate extremes. The UN is urging the COP30 climate summit to provide financing for the most vulnerable communities. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees says that within 15 years, places currently hosting nearly half of the world's refugees could face extreme climate shocks. By mid-2025, 117 million people had been displaced by war, violence and persecution, and 3 in 4 are living in countries with high to extreme climate risks. The agency says extreme weather is destroying homes and forcing families who already fled violence to flee again. UNHCR warns that refugee camps in Africa could face nearly 200 days of hazardous heat per year. The report also highlights funding cuts, including by the United States, and says that this is limiting protection. UNHCR is calling on COP30 to deliver real action and real climate finance. In Malaysia, officials say at least 7 bodies were recovered on Sunday after a migrant boat capsized near the Thai border. 2 migrants who survived were seen on board a Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency vessel after being rescued. The boat had migrants on board when it overturned closer to the Thai border. Details on how many people were on the boat are still unclear. Super typhoon Phung Wong made landfall in the Philippines on Sunday with 2 fatalities reported and over 1 million people evacuated ahead of one of the nation's most powerful storms this year. Eyewitness video showed massive waves rising and crashing along the Catanduanes coastline, bringing floodwaters gushing into the street. The storm crossed over the north of the archipelago's most populous island, Luzon, where torrential rain sustained strong winds. It was the 21st storm this year to hit a nation only just recovering from Typhoon Kalmagi, which left 224 people dead in the Philippines and 5 in Vietnam. While it is not straightforward to attribute a single weather event to climate change, scientists say that in principle, warmer sea surface temperatures speed up the evaporation process and pack more fuel into tropical cyclones. Scientists further warn that such extreme events can only become more frequent as global temperatures rise. The spiraling effects of climate change are already evident in the record-breaking heat waves of 2024, the toll taken by floods, typhoons and cyclones over the past 10 years, and the forest fires that have raged in different parts of the world in the last 3 years. In the Brazilian town of Rio Bonito do Iguaçu, rescue and recovery efforts continued as a powerful tornado devastated the town on Friday. The tornado destroyed over 90% of its buildings and killed 6 people. The main focus is assessing damage and providing financial aid to residents and businesses to restore normalcy. The disaster left more than 1,000 people homeless, with emergency shelters being set up in nearby cities. Let's get you with more weather updates. In Spain, 3 people died and 15 were injured as rough seas battered the Spanish holiday island of Tenerife. A rescue helicopter airlifted a man who had fallen into the water at La Guanca beach, but he was pronounced dead on his arrival at the hospital. In a separate incident, a man was found floating on the beach at El Cabezo in the south of the island. A woman suffered a heart attack and died when a wave swept 10 people into the sea at Puerto de la Cruz in northern Tenerife. Island's emergency services placed the Canary Islands, including Tenerife, on alert for coastal hazards on Sunday. In Ecuador, over 30 inmates died in 2 separate incidents at a prison in southwest region on Sunday. In a statement, prison authorities said the 27 individuals were found dead due to asphyxiation at the Macala prison in the El Oro province. There were no other details about how the prisoners died. Earlier, the prison authorities reported that 4 deaths reported at the same prison in a separate riot incident, which was brought under control by tactical police. The deadly delay at Macala's prison marks the latest spasm of prison unrest in the South American country. Ecuador has faced a wave of deadly prison riots in recent years, resulting in the death of hundreds of inmates. South Korea's special prosecutor has indicted former President Yoon Suk-yeol on additional charges of abusing power and aiding an enemy state, North Korea. According to the Yonhap news agency, a special counsel team also charged Yoon with abuse of power in connection with the order, which was allegedly given to provoke the North's retaliation and use it as a pretext for his declaration of martial law in December. In Bangladesh's Dhaka, police used water cannons, tear gas and sound grenades to disperse hundreds of primary school teachers demonstrating for higher pay. Police stated that some protesters tried to push through barricades and hurled bricks at officers, prompting security forces to fire tear gas and water cannons. Several people were injured in the ensuing chaos and police detained many demonstrators. Bangladesh's primary school teachers, many outside the government payroll, staged a sit-in seeking structured pay and benefits. Science has always been at the heart of human progress, shaping our understanding, driving innovation and building bridges of peace across the nations. Today, as the world marks World Science Day for Peace and Development, the focus is once again on how science can guide humanity towards a sustainable and harmonious future. DD India's Rahul Upadhyay gets us this report.
Every year, November 10th is celebrated as World Science Day for Peace and Development, a day dedicated to highlighting how science supports peace, progress and sustainability across the globe. Established by UNESCO in 2001, this day aims to raise public awareness about the vital role science plays in addressing global challenges and improving lives. This year, the World Science Day for Peace and Development 2025 carries the theme Trust, Transformation and Tomorrow, the Science We Need for 2050. The theme emphasizes the importance of building trust in science, embracing innovation and preparing humanity for the challenges ahead. In 2025, the global celebration is taking place at the 43rd UNESCO General Conference in Samarkand, Uzbekistan, where scientists, educators and policymakers are gathering to discuss how science can shape a sustainable and peaceful world by 2050. Over the years, World Science Day has inspired educational events exhibitions and discussions across the world, connecting science with society and promoting scientific understanding among people of all ages.
As the world celebrates World Science Day 2025, it's a reminder that science will always show a way forward, and it's up to us to choose it wisely for a better future. With camera person Alok, this is Rahul Upadhyay reporting from New Delhi for DD India.
Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across the world. Protests in Benin City have halted the planned opening of Nigeria's new Museum of West African Arts. Demonstrators believed to replace the Oba's palace disrupted a private tour, claiming the traditional ruler should oversee the museum. The Argentine city of Tandil once again claimed record for the longest salami with a colossal 48.22 meters creation. The record-breaking measurement took place during the Chasinar festival, surpassing the city's previous record of 401.73 meters. The production of the salami involved approximately 1,500 kilograms of fresh meat and other ingredients, adhering to the traditional salami di Tandil recipe. Paris marked the 10th anniversary of the November 13th attacks with a run for freedom and an equality march. Thousands joined to honor the victims and show unity. Organizers also said that the best response to terrorism is standing together and celebrating freedom. Dog lovers in Nairobi gathered for the colorful Pokela Dog Show, where pets strutted in fancy costumes. The event featured contests for the shaggiest dog and the best owner-dog duo, celebrating the bond between humans and their furry friends. Toronto welcomed its first snowfall of the season on Sunday, blanketing the city's landmarks in white. Residents and tourists enjoyed the early winter charm, while Environment Canada warned of slick roads and transit delays with up to 10 centimeters of snow expected. You're watching DD India News. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, Global Peace Prayer Festival underway in Bhutan. Stay with us to know why is it special. Bilateral Hajj agreement for Hajj 2026 in Jeddah, signed between India and Saudi Arabia, marking a significant step in deepening the bilateral ties. th Indo-Sri Lanka exercise Mitra Shakti to begin from November 10th at Belagavi.
Can the US launch a bombing campaign against Iran? The Philippines vessel suffered structural damage. The saga of child sexual abuse is the United States China's debt trap strategy. Truth is stranger than fiction. But sometimes hard to uncover. Trust us to tell the truth, unadulterated and pure, of every story that matters to you.
Exactly what to save your.
You read between the lines, cut the clutter, and connect the dots to get you the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots at these times with me, only on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Newshour. A quick relook at the top stories now. India-Angola pledged to deepen bilateral ties, agree on cooperation in marine resources. President Murmu to address Parliament and also interact with the Indian community. US senators in a rare Sunday session reach a deal to end the longest ever government shutdown. Massive flight cancellation and delay reported across the US as air traffic control staffing shortages surged due to the shutdown. Transportation Secretary warns things only going to get worse unless the government reopened. Amazon city of Belém hosts leaders as all important COP30 to begin today. Brazil's choice of venue underlines the importance of world forests as rising global temperatures pose stiff challenge. Environment Minister Bhupender Yadav to represent India. BBC Director General Tim Davie and CEO Deborah Turner resigned following a row over misleading edit of Trump's January 6 speech. Trump welcomes the departure, calls the action a terrible thing for democracy. In sports, shooter Anish Bhanwala creates history. He becomes the first Indian to ever win a medal in the men's 25 meters rapid fire event at World Championships with a silver in the final at Cairo. India is expanding its partnership with Africa, with President Draupadi Murmu undertaking a 5-day visit to Angola and Botswana. This is the first ever visit by an Indian head of state to these two nations. The President arrived in the Angolan capital of Luanda on Sunday in the first leg of her historic visit, focusing on strengthening cooperation in defence, agriculture, energy, pharmaceuticals and space technology. DD India's correspondent Dibyendu Mondal reports from Luanda.
Well, President Draupadi Murmu is in a two-nation tour of Africa. Of course, today is her third day in Luanda in Angola. She arrived here on the 8th late in the evening, and yesterday she received the Guard of Honor, and today's, of course, the schedule looks like she will be addressing the National Assembly of Angola, which is in the capital city of Luanda. This is perhaps the first ever visit by a head of a state of India to this part of Africa. And of course, this is the first head of the state visit from India to Angola. She will be meeting with the Speaker of the National Assembly of Angola. She will also be addressing the members of the National Assembly. And National Assembly is equivalent to the Indian Parliament. She will be giving delivering a speech to all the members of the National Assembly. And apart from that, tomorrow, in fact, she will be departing from Angola. But remember, the high-level delegation-level talks that happened yesterday at the Presidential Palace marks a new beginning in the friendship between Angola and India. Multiple MOUs have been exchanged between both the countries with respect to fisheries, agriculture, marine and aquaculture. And of course, cooperation in the consular service sector has been already signed as part of the delegation that has come with the President of India. So of course, this is going to improve the ties between India and Angola, and of course India has been a voice of the global south, and India has of course always supported the cause of the African Union. India was, remember, the first country to propose and also bring African Union as part of the permanent member of G20. So of course, this visit is going to bring a paradigm shift in how Angola and India's friendship was written. But also remember that she will be taking part in the 50th anniversary of the Independence Day celebration here in Luanda. This also marks the 40 years of diplomatic relation between both India and Angola. And this visit, remember, marks a new beginning, as I said, between both Angola and India. And not just this, it also opens up avenues for cooperation in sectors like energy, pharma, defense, aviation and other sectors as well. So of course, this visit is going to go down in history as one of the most successful visit by the Indian head of state, because not just cooperation in multiple sectors, but also the deepening ties and people-to-people ties between the people of Angola and also the large Indian diaspora here in Angola.
A special Buddhist festival is underway in Bhutan. It is called Global Peace Prayer Festival. It brings together followers of Buddhism from all over the world to pray for peace and harmony. Making this occasion special are sacred Buddhist relics from India that are on public exposition in Thimphu. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be participating in the Global Peace Prayer Festival during his upcoming visit to Bhutan.
When Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrives in Thimphu, India-Bhutan spiritual connection will also be in focus. We are at the Global Peace Prayer Festival here in Thimphu. It's a historic gathering of Buddhist leaders, peace advocates from around the world. Prime Minister would be participating in these festivities. Also making the occasion special are sacred Buddhist relics that have been brought from Delhi to Thimphu for a public exposition.
Atmosphere reverberating with Buddhist chants, prayer flags waving in the wind, and gathering of followers as far as the eye can see. In a world increasingly characterized by conflict, polarization, and discord, a transformative spiritual gathering is taking place in Thimphu. The Global Peace Prayer Festival brings together an unparalleled assembly of eminent lamas from all schools of Buddhism within Bhutan and beyond, uniting their voices for the healing of humanity. The Global Peace Prayer Festival is taking place from 4th to 19th November. It coincides with the 70th birth anniversary of the 4th King of Bhutan, Jigme Singye Wangchuk.
This festival means to be a world peace festival for us, and it is a Buddhist festival between India and Bhutan. And we are very excited to see Prime Minister Modi here in Bhutan.
This event is especially for the spreading of Buddhism all over the world and showing how our Buddhism is true. And we welcome Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, to Bhutan.
As a symbol of shared Buddhist heritage, sacred relics of Lord Buddha from India are on public exposition in Thimphu during the Global Peace Prayer Festival. Earlier, a high-level delegation led by Union Minister Viren Kumar carried the sacred relics to Bhutan. The sacred Piparawa relics of Lord Buddha are amongst the most venerated objects in Buddhism. In a post on X, PM Modi expressed heartfelt appreciation to the people and leadership of Bhutan for the reverent welcome accorded to the sacred relics of Lord Buddha from India. His Bhutanese counterpart, Shering Tobgay, thanked India for allowing the sacred relics to be brought to Thimphu. During the upcoming visit to Bhutan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the Global Peace Prayer Festival and offer prayers to the holy relics in Thimphu. Presence of sacred relics from India and Prime Minister's visit are expected to reinvigorate the spiritual and cultural connect between India and the Himalayan kingdom. With camera person Saurabh, Shubhendu Ghosh, DD India, Thimphu.
Our correspondent Shubhendu Ghosh joins us with some more inputs from Thimphu. Shubhendu, good morning. We've shown a detailed report of yours to our viewers wherein you talk of the festival and also how this visit will further strengthen the bilateral ties. Get us more when the Prime Minister arrives in Bhutan. What will be on the itinerary? We tell our viewers that Prime Minister will be visiting Bhutan on 11th and 12th of November.
That's right, Preeti. Good morning from Thimphu. If you just look at the time, I'm about half an hour ahead of you. That's the time difference between Thimphu and Delhi. Well, talking about Prime Minister's visit to Bhutan, it's going to be a very special one. Bhutan, we understand, is a pillar of India's neighborhood first policy. We learnt about the spiritual connection during this visit, this Buddhist festival that is taking place, and the sacred relics that are here from India. But there are also very important economic and development aspects that will be in focus when Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits Thimphu. If you talk about the economic ties, since 2014, the trade ties have almost tripled. Today, they stand at over $1.7 billion if you look at the trade volume between India and Bhutan. At the same time, development partnership is a significant aspect. Hydropower is an important cornerstone of this partnership. Prime Minister would be inaugurating, along with the King of Bhutan, a mega hydro project, is referred to in short as a P2 hydropower project. Is over 1,020 megawatts in power capacity and would add greatly to Bhutan's infrastructure. And it's a sort of symbiotic relationship with India and Bhutan. So India helps Bhutan build this hydropower capacities because their landscape is such that such projects can be built. And Bhutan, in turn, exports the energy, the electricity produced back to India, and it becomes a key source of revenue for this Himalayan kingdom. So in that sense, it's a very close, interdependent partnership between the two countries. These would be some of the highlights of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Bhutan. But first, the focus would be this very special shared tradition of Buddhism that India and Bhutan are very proud of. Prime Minister would be participating in this global peace prayer festival. He'll offer his respects and prayer to the holy relics as well. They occupy a central space as far as Buddhist worship is concerned. These relics are seen as almost like a physical presence of Lord Buddha for the devotees. So in that sense, a very special occasion for Prime Minister to visit Bhutan.
All right, Shubhendu, we leave it here. Thank you for joining in with those inputs from Thimphu. And marking a significant step in deepening the India-Saudi Arabia ties, the two sides signed the bilateral Hajj agreement for Hajj 2026 in Jeddah. The agreement was signed after a bilateral meeting was held between Minority Affairs Minister Kiran Rijiju and Saudi Minister for Hajj Tawfiq bin Fazan Al Rabia. With the agreement, Hajj quota of 175,025 has been secured for Indian pilgrims for 2026. During the meeting, both ministers reviewed the ongoing Hajj preparations and discussed measures to enhance coordination and logistical support. They also reaffirmed their shared commitment to ensure safe, seamless and spiritually fulfilling journey for all the Hajj pilgrims. In Bihar, campaigning for the second and final phase of Bihar Assembly elections concluded on Sunday evening, with star campaigners and senior leaders from both the NDA and the Mahagathbandhan made every last-ditch effort to woo the voters. Polling on 11th of November will be held in 122 assembly constituencies spread across 20 districts. The political fate of 1,302 candidates, including 136 female candidates, will be decided by more than 3.7 crore electorate. The first phase of the Bihar Legislative Assembly elections was held on November 6th for 121 constituencies with the highest ever voter turnout of 64.66% in the history. The counting of votes will happen on November 14th. As part of the Tri-Services Exercise Trishul, the Indian Army conducted exercise Brahmashira in the Run and Creek sector, bringing together the three services, Indian Coast Guard and BSF, in seamless coordination with civil administration to validate integrated capabilities across land, sea and air. Embodying the Indian Army's decade of transformation, the exercise integrates joint task forces, a stand-of-the-art joint control center and robust operational infrastructure to sustain multi-domain operations. It also validates new structures, advanced technologies and adaptive war-fighting capabilities. Exercise Brahmashira highlights India's commitment to a military-civil fusion and also a whole-of-nation approach, showcasing the armed forces' ability to deliver rapid, coordinated and decisive responses across different domains. The 11th edition of the joint military exercise between India and Sri Lanka, Mitra Shakti 2025, begins today at the Foreign Training Node in Belagavi. The 14-day exercise aims to enhance joint operations in urban and semi-urban terrain, fostering defense cooperation, mutual trust and regional peace. This collaborative exercise highlights the shared commitment of both nations to regional peace and security, while also aiming to strengthen defense cooperation and further solidify the strategic partnership between India and Sri Lanka. The annual event alternates between the nations. Last year's edition in Sri Lanka involved Rajputana Rifles and Gajaba Regiment personnel sharing counter-terrorism tactics. In Himachal Pradesh, pleasant weather continues and tourist inflow has increased in the capital, Shimla. Tourists are enjoying the calm climate and the charming hill views. Visitors here are not only soaking in Shimla's natural beauty, but also exploring its old colonial heritage spots. And now tourists say that they are eagerly waiting for the season's first snowfall in Shimla. Let's take a look at other stories making it to the headlines from across India. In India's western state of Maharashtra, Chief Minister Devendra Fadnavis inaugurated the Innovation Mahakumbh 2025 at SNDT Women's University in Juhu, highlighting the state's leadership in India's startup ecosystem. He noted that Maharashtra has the highest number of registered startups in the country, with 45% led by women. The Chief Minister expressed confidence that women entrepreneurs will play a vital role in achieving India's $5 trillion economy goal. In the first of its kind initiative in eastern India, AIIMS Bhubaneswar has launched an integrated platform that brings together medical research, life sciences and technology to foster healthcare innovation. The initiative aims to transform new health tech ideas into validated, market-ready products. During the launch, 33 startup concepts and medical technology models were showcased, with experts offering insights to strengthen India's position in global health innovation. You're watching DD India News Hour. We're heading for a short break. But after the break, the 5th edition of Ironman 70.3, the world's premier middle distance triathlon, held in Goa at the iconic scenic coastal stretches. Setting in the Christmas fervor, Berlin's Forest Winter Light installation amuse all in Berlin.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India News Hour. Let's turn focus to updates from the world of business. Stock futures rose on Monday after lawmakers neared a deal to end the historic US government shutdown. Asian markets traded mostly higher, with Japan's Nikkei gaining 0.6%, while South Korea's Kospi jumped 2.01%. Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index futures indicated a lower opening. The developments helped push Nasdaq futures up 0.8%, while S&P 500 futures rose 0.5% in early trade. In currencies, US dollar held firm in early Asian trading. In commodities, oil prices rose, with Brent crude futures up 0.4% to $63.89 per barrel, while US crude edged 0.45% higher to $60.01 a barrel. From business, we now turn focus to sports. India's Anish Bhanwala delivered a career-defining performance at the ISSF World Championships in Cairo, clinching silver in the 25 meters rapid-fire pistol final. The 23-year-old from Haryana showed remarkable composure, surviving a tense shoot-off for bronze before outlasting Ukraine's Maxim Horodinets to secure second position with a score of 28. Overcoming the disappointment of missing out at the Paris 2024 Olympics, Bhanwala's resilience and precision marked his biggest international medal yet in a fiercely contested final. The 5th edition of Ironman 70.3 Goa was held on Sunday, with Goa Chief Minister Pramod Sawant flagging off the race from the iconic Miramar beach. The course challenged athletes with a 1.9 kilometer swim, 90 kilometer cycling leg and a 21.1-kilometer run, weaving through scenic coastal stretches and Goa's heritage-lined avenues. Over 1,300 triathletes from 31 countries plunged into the Arabian Sea, marking yet another milestone for the event, which welcomed athletes from 62 nations across its 5 editions. Uzbekistan's Konstantin Belousov stormed to victory in the men's category, while UK's Ellie Garrett clinched the women's title. Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed the participants of the Ironman 70.3, sharing pictures of the event and of 2 BJP young party leaders, Annamalai and Tejasvi Surya, who completed the triathlon. In a social media post, he said, and I quote him, "Glad to see increased participation by our youth in events like Ironman 70.3, which was held in Goa. Such events contribute towards Fit India movement. Congratulations to everyone who took part. Delighted that 2 of our young party colleagues, Annamalai and Tejasvi Surya, are among those who have successfully completed the Ironman tradition." Grandmaster Vidit Gujrati has been knocked out of the ongoing FIDE World Cup. World number 25 Gujrati faced defeat at the hands of Sam Shackland of the United States in the second set of tie-break game of third round in Panjim, Goa on Sunday. Gujrati lost 2.5 to 3.5 to Shankland in the tiebreaker. He is the third high-profile Indian to be knocked out of the World Cup after D. Gukesh and Arvind Chidambaram too faced early exits. Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola has had the last laugh as the citizens outclassed Liverpool 3-0 in the Premier League on Sunday. Erling Haaland opened the scoring at the Etihad, netting his 99th league goal after missing an early penalty. Liverpool skipper Virgil van Dijk saw his equaliser ruled out as the visitors fell further behind to a deflected Nico Gonzalez strike before half-time. Jeremy Doku sealed the win with a sublime third on his 100th club appearance. The victory lifted City to second, just 4 points behind leaders Arsenal. Meanwhile, Arne Slot's Reds endured another setback, slumping to their 5th defeat in 6 games and trailing the Gunners by 8 points. All right, in other news, Berlin's Forest Winter Light installation is lighting up the festive season with a mix of Christmas charm, industrial vibes and techno beats. Created by artists, the show also offers skating under glowing lights and upside-down Christmas trees, inviting visitors on an emotional winter journey. Take a look. With that, we end this edition of DD India News Hour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Now, this app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can download the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.